Government leaders in attendance pledged proactive measures to safeguard campus infrastructure while steering the affairs of Nigerian students away from violence, social vices and cultism. Comrade Tijani also appealed to the Nigerian media to report the activities of Nigerian students objectively and accurately. Women in Imo State have pledged to support President Goodluck Jonathan in the 2015 presidential election. Correspondent Priscilla Onwegbu reports that the resolution by the women to vote Jonathan was an appreciation of the empowerment materials presented to widows in the 27 local government areas of the state by the First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan.
Materials presented for distribution to all widows in Imo State include sewing machines, hairdressing kits, grinding machines, and generators. The rest are bags of rice, cartons of soap, salt, wrappers, and other food items. Presenting the materials on behalf of Dame Patience Jonathan, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Professor Viola Onwolode said the gesture was part of Southeast Widows Empowerment Program of the First Lady launched in Awka, Anambra State.
The First Lady is wonderful. You can see the array of items here for everybody, PDP and not PDP. Just to
And back here in Abuja, the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Christian Pilgrims Commission, Mr. John Kennedy Opara, has donated a mobile autoclave to the Trauma Center of the National Hospital, Abuja, in memory of his late father. Debola Brookslyn Sunday covered the event and filed in this report.
A few months back, I lost my father, and while passing through the hospitals, something touched me. I asked one of the nurses, what do you think is very dear and important to a hospital, especially trauma center like this?
That was the experience that led to the donation of this autoclave for the sterilization of equipments in the hospital. Mr. Okpara says sitting back to watch or criticize the government is not an option.
We must put our hands together to move this nation forward. And that is the only time Nigerians will be able to appreciate that God has given us a gift in our president.
National Trauma Center of the National Hospital, Abuja, is the only hospital in the West African sub-region with Lodo scanner, which can scan the whole body in less than 15 seconds. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
The Nigerian oil and gas sector plays a dominant role in the nation's economy. To further maximize the investment opportunities available in the sector, the role of government is being redefined, with markets deregulated to achieve sectoral efficiency and sustainable development. Now, in this report, correspondent Lydia Sampson takes a look at the liberalization of the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry.
In time past, Nigeria, though an oil-producing country, experienced scarcity of petroleum products that crippled national economic activities. To help address this, stakeholders in the oil and gas sector have been advocating the deregulation of the downstream, which will foster the reduction or outright removal of government control, rules and regulations that restrain free operational activities in the sector.
We have increased our assets in land, swamp, and offshore rigs, which is a key performance indicator, I must say, of business growth in Nigerian service companies. And it's something to be very proud about. Nigerian companies are now forming partnerships for deep water rig ownership, never done before.
It is hoped that the government, at the end of the day, the pricing policies will be removed in terms of the capping as we have now.
Major players in the sector are unanimous that the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill will go a long way in providing the right structure for operationality of the upstream, midstream and downstream.
The PIB, which we all believe that, if that law is passed, it will bring about this desired deregulation that people talk about.
Even us here in the Senate are a bit concerned about the speed at which we are moving, but we're doing our best to try to fast-track the consideration of the bill.
They say oil is a global commodity and Nigeria cannot operate in isolation, but must be in tune with global best practices to attract the needed investment to the sector.
Deregulation is something that has to happen and happen quick. It hasn't happened enough. But I believe it's a process, and it's not a simple process because of what is involved.
We are losing billions, if not trillions of dollars yearly because of regulation of the oil and gas industry.
They commended the present administration for the Nigerian Content Law and the creation of the Nigerian Development and Monitoring Board. This, they say, has enabled Nigerian operators to be more involved in the sector. Describing telecommunications sector as an example of a successful case of deregulation, experts are of the view that a lot more will be achieved with the passage of the PIB. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And still on the oil and gas sector, we now go to Lagos, where the federal government's effort at combating illegal oil bunkering and pipeline vandalism is yielding positive results. This is a sequel to the operation carried out by the Nigerian Navy in some communities in Ikorodu known for nefarious activities. Correspondent Ken Egbelugbe reports that several jerry cans of stolen petroleum products were seized in that operation.
The incident reports on the illegal oil bunkering and vandalism taking place in Majidun, Arepo, and Makoko communities in the Ikorodu local government area of Lagos State has become a source of worry to the communities and security operatives. The perpetrators used self-propelled barges and wooden boats to ferry the stolen products to their destinations, and they are usually armed to confront anyone that attempts to stop their operation. In view of this, an operation codenamed Awase, which is Kata, was conducted by the Nigerian Navy and supported by the Nigerian Army to dislodge the operation of the perpetrators.
The operation has not been easy, not without challenges, but by and large, we have been able to do this, and we hope to sustain it.
Arrests were made, and products suspected to be stolen refined petroleum were recovered and handed over to the Petroleum Pricing and Marketing Company, PPMC.
We take them to our depot, we do analysis, be sure of the clean one, put them back into the system, take a record of what we recovered, and it will show in our product reconciliation. We're going to have a lot of cooperation with the Navy because they've delivered.
On completion of the operation in Ikorodu, the Nigerian Navy says it will consider establishing a base in the area. In Lagos, Ken Egbeluge, NTA News.
Many thanks, Ken. Now, federal and state governments as well as stakeholders in the health sector have been commended for the concerted efforts employed towards containing the Ebola virus disease in the country. This was made known while a 9-man delegation of National Association of Nigerian Students visited the Nigerian Institute for Medical Research in Lagos. Olajide Bello brings us that story.
Linger in the minds of Nigerians as the primary index case of the Ebola virus disease in the country. Taking the bull by the horn, the federal and Lagos state governments came up with quarantine centers in Lagos and other airports across the country. After months of unrelenting fight to combat the scourge, Ebola was successfully contained in Nigeria. It is in view of this that the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, decided to appreciate the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research's contribution to the fight against Ebola.
Its name cropped up times without number as one of those who have deepened the socio-economic space and service delivery to his father's land.
Professor Innocent Uja thanked NANS for appreciating the Institute's contributions in the fight against the virus, calling for more government funding to research in Nigeria.
Government should commit more fund to research because, you see, research is highly capital intensive, and the research can continue for 5-10 years. You will realize that the issue of HIV/AIDS for over 30 years, even malaria up till now, the research has been on for over 30 years.
Professor Uja reiterated the Institute's commitment towards achieving its vision and mission. In Lagos, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
For the highest flight, for the fastest drive, form follows function. The world's first curved OLED TV. Picture perfect. It's all possible. LG OLED TV. loud, tough to say, even tougher to drive. Sounds like one for the Ranger. Out here, even when the road stops, it just keeps on going. And even weighed down, it keeps powering on. Built for any challenge. Ford Ranger.
Introducing the great tasting new mini-me chin-chin. Rich in yummy ingredients like milk, butter, and wheat. Mini-me, crunchy. Mini-me, tasty. Playful. Break the boredom with the unique taste of mini-me chin-chin.
Auntie. Hello, my dear. I see you went shopping with your mom, right? And what did you buy? Power oil. It has 0 cholesterol and 0 trans fats. And contains vitamin A and natural vitamin E. It's a healthy oil for healthy family. I'll buy Power Oil next time I go shopping, huh?
Power Oil. Healthy for you.
Love is the greatest of all virtues. The Holy Bible and the Holy Quran tell us so. Love is not boastful. Love is humble, cool under pressure. Love is hope for the next generation. Love is the north, east, west, and south living in unity. Love is progress despite adversity. It makes the impossible possible. Love is a secure nation with prosperity for all. Love is transformation. We need more love. Good luck, Abele Jonathan. Driven by love for God and country. Mr. President, we appreciate you. We who are with you are so many more than those who are against you. A message from protectors of Nigerian posterity.
Leaders of the Lake Chad region have expressed determination to reinforce their operational and intelligence capabilities, as well as the coordination of the multinational joint task force in the Lake Chad Basin. These form part of the decisions taken by the heads of state and government at its extraordinary summit in Niamey, Niger Republic. State House correspondent Shagun Laole has that story.
The extraordinary summit of heads of state and government of the Lake Chad region and Benin Republic was attended by presidents of Nigeria, Benin, Niger, and Chad, and was a follow-up to the Paris summit hosted by President Francois Hollande in May this year, where the leaders agreed to establish joint anti-terrorism patrols and operations at the borders and establish mechanism for intelligence sharing. Deliberations at the Niamey summit focused on the assessment of the security situation and the immediate common strategy in the fight against terrorism caused by Boko Haram group in the region. Having reviewed the ongoing efforts to attack frontally the acts of terrorism and extreme violence in the Lake Chad region, the leaders here, although the Cameroonian president was unavailable, however, were unequivocal in their commitment to fight headlong terrorism and extreme violence in the Lake Chad region. At the end of the deliberations, the leaders expressed their determination to reinforce their operational and intelligence capabilities, as well as the coordination of the multinational joint task force in the Lake Chad Basin. They decided to finalize the establishment of the headquarters of the multinational joint task force in a secured place by the 28th of November this year, and also to finalize the deployment of the pledged contingent by the Lake Chad region member states and Benin as part of the multinational joint task force within their national borders by November 1st. Benin Republic also pledged to deploy a contingent at the common border with Nigeria. The Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Defense were directed to draft a common resolution to the United Nations Security Council and the African Union in order to put in place an appropriate legal framework for cross-border military operations against Boko Haram. President Jonathan at the summit expressed confidence in the Nigerian armed forces in curbing the menace of Boko Haram.
Yes, the Nigerian army is capable of confronting and defeating Boko Haram. But Boko Haram, as a terrorist group, is not a conventional force. Of course, Nigerian army have participated in peacekeeping across Africa and beyond. We even fought a civil war within our country. If you look at what is happening globally, look at other countries. America is even getting involved in some other countries. Still, they have not been able to defeat terror because they are not conventional fighters. When there is so much pressure on them, they will disappear into the civil population and recruit. This is a conventional troop. Probably the matter would have been over. But I can reassure you that we are capable.
The summit also gave December 1st as deadline for member states to pay up the 2014 annual contribution to the Lake Chad Basin Commission. Nigeria is the only member state that already paid up. In Niamey, Nigeria Republic, Segun Lawale, NTA News.
Many thanks, Segun. Now in our business segment, International Monetary Fund cuts 2015 global growth forecast to 3.8%. Plus update on business activities in Abuja. Details with Chiazalam Ekie.
Welcome to Business News. As we come down to this year's annual meetings of the World Bank and the IMF in Washington, the International Monetary Fund has downgraded the global economic growth forecast for this year and next year. It warned of a weak and uneven global recovery. The forecast for 2014 has been cut to 3.3% from the forecast in July of 3.4%. IMF now predicts 3.8% growth in 2015 as against an earlier prediction of 4.0%. Meanwhile, some traders in Abuja have attributed the low business activities to the 2 days public holiday declared by the federal government to mark the Salah celebration. Some traders who spoke with Vivian Idekbefo on the level of patronage during the break lamented the low patronage.
And even this Salah celebration, we are expected to sell more than we have been selling before, but it's not going well.
Market no move, everything it don't stop. If the sell market finish, they make profit. Now people doesn't like it was in the market, nobody entering.
While some buyers complained about the hike in prices of certain items, others say the prices have remained stable.
I had expected that there will be hike in the price of things in the market, but I'm surprised and I'm impressed.
Trading is expected to resume on Wednesday on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange after the holiday. And that's it on business. I am Chiazalam Eki. The news continues.
An easy calm has continued to pervade Ghana following the October 5 deadline given to all Nigerian traders in Ghana markets to vacate. Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana, Mr. Ademola Onofo-Okon, has urged them to remain calm, promising high-level intervention. He spoke with Cordelia Okoma on the situation.
It was only on Monday I sent a dispatch, and I am seeking audience with the Minister of Trade for Tuesday, and I'll be going with the leader of the Nigerian traders and a couple of my officers to see what can be done. But my fear is that unless we have intervention at the highest level or at very high ECOWAS level, a lot of things will go wrong.
Wow, such as?
They close the shops, lock the shops, harass them and all those things. And that's not in the spirit of ECOWAS. We've been doing this battle now. Before I came, and since I came, we've been able to keep it under wraps. But unfortunately, the minister that we're used to in that ministry has been moved to another ministry. Okay. So we have to start all over again, cultivating the new minister and letting him know how we feel. But I believe we will succeed.
Nigeria needs 10 billion naira annually to ensure effective mapping of the country. The Surveyor General of the Federation, Professor Peter Wilo, stated this in a forum organized by the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, held in Abuja. Professor Wheeler noted that inadequate funding delays effective spatial and geospatial mappings. He urged government to encourage more people to go into the profession by providing standard equipment for tertiary institutions to enhance training of qualified manpower in the surveying profession. Nigeria's foreign policy objectives or goals as enunciated at the country's independence, observers say, have remained fairly consistent with successful administration, whether military or civilian. While focus was on Africa being the centerpiece of the country's foreign policy, emphasis has been shifted to economic or citizens' diplomacy. Correspondent Phoebe Kabruk in this special report takes a look at how the country has fared 54 years after independence.
It was during the days of the late Prime Minister Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa that he enunciated the foreign policy goals of Nigeria, which focus was to decolonize Africa and to fight for the rights of the black people wherever they may be in the world. Nigeria's foreign policy objectives, therefore, and as contained in the country's constitution, is the promotion and protection of national interests, promoting African integration and support for African unity, among other objectives.
Fortunately, we were able to see the end of the colonization in Africa, and the obnoxious apartheid policy was dismantled. So that can be called a success in the foreign policy objectives of Nigeria.
Over the years, Nigeria has veered into what is known as citizens and economic diplomacy, which emphasizes the promotion of trade and foreign investments as potent instruments for job and wealth creation.
Nigeria played an extremely important role in establishing the AU and continues to play an important role in the affairs of that organization. Nigeria has also done very well in terms of peacekeeping.
With these achievements, observers say the intensity in the pursuit of the country's foreign policy goals have largely reduced due to some of the country's domestic challenges.
If we get our act together domestically, the foreign policy of Nigeria will be very vibrant like it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Nigeria has been very, very assertive, especially in Africa, carrying along African brothers in its foreign policy.
The money we spent on peacekeeping, I think, in my view, has been money well spent, because we prevented a lot of tragedies in the countries and places where we have intervened, some of which are very close to us.
Observers also believe that recommendations arising from the recent National Conference Committee on Foreign Policy and Diaspora Matters, if implemented by government, will certainly ensure that Nigeria's place in the future in its foreign policy is assured. Phoebe Kabruk, NTA News.
Many thanks, Phoebe. The Muslim community in River State were at the residence of the Minister of State for Education, Chief Nyesom Wike, on a Salah visit. Kingsley Amajo reports that the group used the occasion to pray for peace and unity in River State and the nation at large.
King Hausa in Port Harcourt, Alhaji Salisu Kampala. Alhaji Kampala said the Northerners resident in the state have enjoyed peaceful coexistence with the people of River State over the years, saying that the visit provides them the opportunity to renew their friendship with the people of the state. They expressed support for President Jonathan's administration and his re-election in 2015.
That the reason why we come here, woman, amen, for cooperation for the Salah busy.
The minister commended them for their peaceful disposition, stressing that the Salah period calls for sacrifice for the unity, growth, and development of the nation.
So we use this period to urge everybody to live together, unite ourselves for the interests of this country.
Chief Wike reassured them of a peaceful atmosphere in River State, noting that the federal government is determined to ensure the security of lives and property of all Nigerians wherever they reside. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajuri, NTA News.
You're watching the network news. More reports after this time out.
Summit 2014. The First Lady, Federal Republic of Nigeria, in collaboration with the National Center for Women Development and Friends Africa, invite you to a 2-day summit on women and the girl child in commemoration of the 2014 International Day of the Girl Child. Convener, Her Excellency Dr. Dame Patience Jonathan, President, African First Ladies Peace Mission. Theme, reinforcing the agenda for girl child education. Date, 13th and 14th October 2014. Time, 10 a.m. daily. Venue, National Center for Women Development, Abuja. Women and Girls Summit 2014. Reinforcing the agenda for girl child education. Together we can make it right. Announcer, Lady Onyeka Nwenu, MFR.
Reinforcing the girl child education is the focus on NTA Tuesday Live. Tuesday Live, educative, informative, and incisive. Join us at 10:30 p.m. tonight.
The Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, will hold a sensitization workshop on pension management under the Defined Benefit Scheme on Thursday 9th October in Ibadan and Friday 10th October in Lagos. Participants, pensioners, Nigeria Union of Pensions representatives, sector unions representatives in parastatals, pension, police, civil service and paramilitary, Pension Board of Trustees, underwriters and brokers to PBOTs, Southwest Zone, Thursday 9th October 2014, time 9 a.m. Venue, Kakanfo Inn and Conference Center, number 1, Nihin Lola Street, Ring Road, Ibadan, Lagos. Friday 10th October 2014, time 9 a.m. Venue, the Darlington Hall, Plot CDE, Industrial Crescent, off Town Planning Way, Ilupeju, Lagos. For further information, please call 070-395-09219. Email info@peter.gov.ng. Management, announcer.
Ebola is a deadly disease, but there are ways we can prevent infection
and protect ourselves.
First,
wash fruits thoroughly. Disinfect floors and surfaces regularly.
Avoid contact with infected carcasses.
Avoid bushmeat.
Wash and sanitize your hands regularly.
Together,
we all
can overcome Ebola.
Do not take a risk with your life and your loved ones.
Health is priceless.
Stop Ebola. It's in your hands.
It's in your hand.
It's in your hand.
It's in your hand.
It's in your hands. It's in your hands.
It is in your hands.
It's in your hands.
It's in your hands.
This public message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health and Detour.
Bragging is not President Goodluck Jonathan's style, so you'd hardly hear him brag about all the great things he is doing for Nigeria. He wouldn't tell you he's the first president to privatize power, to give us a constant supply of electricity and economic prosperity. Soon your electricity will be like your mobile phones, 24 hours, 7 days a week. He won't brag about security, new roads, new rail, or new airports, eliminating corruption in agriculture and saving $25 billion per year, mass housing projects, or that our economy is growing at the fastest rate in the world. He wouldn't brag about any of it because he knows there's a lot more to be done. Mr. President, right on. We that are with you are so many more than those who are against you. A message from protectors of Nigerian posterity.
The Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Tahiru Jega, has inspected some facilities in Yola preparatory to the October 11th governorship by-election in Adamawa State. Correspondent Mohammed Saidu reports.
3 days to the governorship by-election in Adamawa State, the Independent National Electoral Commission has put in place the necessary machinery to ensure a successful exercise. To ascertain the level of preparedness of the Commission, the Chairman, Professor Tahiru Jega, visited registration area councils in Jimeta and Yola. Areas visited include Godabawa, Lugere, Yelwa, and Dogire area councils. He sums his feelings this way.
So far, so good. I am impressed with the facilities and the arrangements that have been made, and I would like to commend our REC and his staff for attending to these issues with the seriousness that they deserve.
On election in Michigan and Madagali local government areas, Professor Tahiru Jega said INEC is ready to conduct election everywhere in Adamawa State if the security situation permits.
We are constantly working together with security agencies and reviewing the situation. And as you are aware, tomorrow we are having a meeting with all stakeholders where some of these issues will be reviewed. Our hope and prayer is that we should be able to do elections everywhere in Adamawa State.
In Yola, Muhammad Saidu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has donated some Hilux vans and other logistics to the government of Togo to aid the country achieve free, fair and peaceful local government and presidential elections due in March 2015. Kodila Okoma reports that Togo has been known to, in the past, to have tension arising from elections.
With this donation of logistic materials to aid Togo's forthcoming elections, coming on the heels of a similar donation to Guinea-Bissau, including military uniforms to that country's army, it is an indication that the federal government of Nigeria desires that civil strifes become a thing of the past in the sub-region. The items donated to Togo include 15 Hilux vans, 15 computers, 15 photocopiers, 15 cartons of A-paper, and 15 printers, making the presentation to the Togolese Minister of Territorial Administration, Gilbert Bawara, who received them on behalf of Fauna Simbe. The Nigerian ambassador to Togo, Ambassador Sunday Adoli, pointed out that it is the desire of President Goodluck Jonathan to see a peaceful, free and fair elections in Togo. The Togolese president's representative thanked Nigeria for the gesture, promising that the items will be put to judicious use.
It is necessary to help them, because if there are problems, Nigeria will be the first country to be called upon. Like last year during the legislative elections, when there was a deadlock, President Jonathan competently broke the deadlock and all the stakeholders participated in the elections. So what he has done is proactive measures he is taking to ensure that the elections go well. And we have been talking to stakeholders here to douse the tension.
Nigeria's brotherly gesture towards less privileged members of ECOWAS is towards ensuring that lasting peace reigns in the sub-region. And by so doing, the country, of course, would be spending far less than it would have to should war arise. From Lome, Togo, Cordelia Okwama, NTA News.
Our reports from other parts of the globe indicates that the International Monetary Fund has cut its forecast for global economic growth for both this year and next and warned the recovery is weak and uneven. It is now forecasting 3.3% growth this year and 3.8% next year against an earlier prediction of 4%. In Somalia, the first cash withdrawal machine has been installed in a Mogadishu hotel, allowing people to withdraw money in dollars. And in India, a former chief minister who was jailed for corruption charges has pleaded, or rather has his plea rejected by an Indian court. And away from economic issues, 3 scientists from Japan and the United States have won the Nobel Peace Prize for blue light emitting diodes. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has arrived in Netherlands ahead of his Wednesday's appearance at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Mr. Kenyatta is facing charges of crimes against humanity over an alleged involvement in the post-2007 election violence, which took place years before he became president of Kenya. Kenyatta has maintained his innocence. Ekachi Apam enjoys new lease of life in the U.S. Plus, swimming legend Michael Phelps swims into troubled waters, banned for 6 months for driving under the influence of alcohol. Fisai Ogunfui has all the details.
Super Eagles of Nigeria have intensified training for their all-important AFCON doubleheader with Sudan. Head coach Stephen Keshi, assisted by Daniel Amokachi and goalkeeper trainer Ike Shoromo, supervised Tuesday's training that had a near-full house. The team's senior players, Captain Vincent Enyama, Chelsea's midfielder John Mikel Obi, Elderson Ichejile of Monaco, France, Emmanuel Emenike of Fenerbahce of Turkey, and Eugenio Nazi of SS Lazio of Italy were joined by new boys, China-based Aaron Samuel Olanare and Reading of England midfielder Hope Akpan in a fitness drill and knockabout to shape in the team's tactics.
We're trying to prepare ourselves for a success. I think any team that's going out for a game always get themselves ready to be victorious.
We're going to play as if everything depends on us and pray as if everything depends on God.
After a 3-year battle with injury, Nigerian defender Onyeka Chiapam is back playing football. The silver-winning defender, who joined his compatriot Obafemi Martins at MLS side Seattle Sounders 3 weeks ago, says he is settling down in the U.S.
I have to get to know the way the team play, and by the grace of God, I'll give at my best.
You know, he's a good player, and you know, when he's fit, I think then you can see more.
Swimming legend Michael Phelps has been suspended from all competitions for 6 months by the U.S. swimming team after he was caught driving under the influence of alcohol. With the development, the 22-medal Olympic legend will not be selected for the 2015 World Championship in Kazan, Russia. His funding has also been withdrawn for the length of the ban. With Sports News Update, Fisayo Ogunfuyi, NTA News.
Sympathizers have continued to troop to the family house of the late Ian Kefi ambassador Yahya Abdullahi OON, who died after a brief illness at his hometown in Kefi. Correspondent Suraj Abdullahi reports.
The remains of Ambassador Yahya Abdullahi was laid to rest in his hometown, Kefi, Nasarawa State, after a brief illness. Various dignitaries from across Nigeria and overseas have paid visit to the family, including General Theophilus Danjuma retired. He was described as a patriotic Nigerian whose life is worth emulating.
He lived a life that was worth emulation, and he led a family that he inculcated discipline into it.
A matter of fact, this has been a very humble person who has served this nation, not only in his capacity as a technocrat, as a civil servant of high repute, but even at ambassadorial level, which is...
Born in 1932, Ambassador Yahya Abdullahi schooled both within and outside Nigeria and served Nigeria in different diplomatic capacity in Uganda and the Republic of Benin. In Kefi, Suraj Abdullahi, NTA News.
Time for a quick check on weather prospects across the country. Remember, it is your right to challenge anyone suspected to be involved in unwholesome activities around you. Be security conscious. A message from the Directorate of State Security. And that's Network News Tonight. Tuesday Live is up in 30 minutes. Bye for now.
Ebele Jonathan. With massive investment in power supply infrastructure, affordable and effective healthcare delivery, a refocused education system, and good motorable roads. The railway system has been restored and modernized, and more airports have been remodeled and rehabilitated than at any other time in Nigeria's history. Our farmers are happier, and cash crops exports are growing. No wonder, today, we are Africa's biggest economy.
Mr. President, keep up the good work. This message is brought to you by Community Awareness and Development Network, Kawan.
And
NTA. You can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
We from Katsina State have always believed in Nigeria. We have always worked Nigeria, we have always lived Nigeria, and we are supportive of our dear country, Nigeria. Our party, the PDP, and President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. We are here because Katsina State has forever remained in the center stage of national unity. Anything to do to unite Nigeria, Katsina State will be in the forefront. Of all the president and heads of state that happen to rule this country, it is only Goodluck Ebele Jonathan that has the courage and the conviction to attend the OIC meeting of heads of state in Cairo, and to please take our message to him from Kano and from the Northwest Zone that we are 100% with him, and we are there to support him, and we'll make sure that we deliver on the promise that we've been giving him. And God help us all, and God keep Nigeria one, and may God bring peace and security into our country. First, he gave us the slot of the Vice President. Number two, we have the slot of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. We have the only zone that can boast of 9 ministers managing key ministries in the first government. Your people, the people of Nigeria, are honestly asking for you to continue so that the good work you've started will continue. A lot of health facilities were built through the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, and our war on polio has been transformed greatly because of the influence of Mr. President. Mr. President single-handedly took leadership to fight Ebola in the country. So, Mr. President, please accept our plea, accept our call for you to come and lead us again, so that not only Ebola, but any disease, you will be able to fight it. Mr. President, you have done everything for us in the Northwest. You have fixed our roads. The economy of Nigeria is working. We have just rebased our economy, and it is simply the biggest economy in Africa. Thanks to the transformation agenda of Mr. President, we are trying to create an economy that is all-inclusive, an economy that will not only give jobs, but empower all Nigerians. To confirm to you, Mr. President, we are with you. Zamfara State is with you. Northwest is with you. And we're going to be with you 2015, inshallah. He is the first president that ever invited and interacted with people with disability right inside Asobila. Therefore, the 21 million people with disability are saying Nigeria, say Jonathan. We have been able to use the structures of Jigawa, Kaduna, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara states to collate the signatures. And we are pleased to present as a token that we have collected a total of 2,393,331 signatures from verifiable signatories.
Your Excellency, on behalf of Transformation Ambassadors of Nigeria, I present this relief pack for the zone.
Thank you very much, Mr. LJF. May I, in return, start with the state of Kano first, to hand over this symbolic relief package before you receive the rest of the packages. Kano State.
Thank you. Sokoto State. Kaduna State. Kaduna State. Zamfara State. Zamfara State. Kebbi State. Kebbi State. And they forgot Kaduna State. Jigawa State. Jigawa State. Katsina State. Honorable Minister, there you go. Thank you very much.
From the very first national traffic law, the 1920 Road Traffic Ordinance of Lagos Colony and Southern Protectorate, to the Act mandating the establishment of the Vehicle Inspection Office, and subsequently the Federal Road Safety Commission of 1988, Nigeria can be described as a country founded on sound rules and regulations guiding the conduct of drivers and pedestrians on its roads. Despite the place of the traffic rules in ensuring the safety of road users, the rate of death arising from road traffic accidents is said to be second only to that of HIV and AIDS, targeting people between the age bracket of 15 and 29. Although Africa, and by extension Nigeria, is said to have the world's most dangerous roads, over 50% of road traffic accidents are traceable to human factor. These factors manifested through reckless driving and disregard for other road users, badly maintained vehicles, poor pedestrian safety, design and culture, as well as weak enforcement of standards, have serious consequences. Aside personal sufferings on the part of accident victims, records show a 1 to 2% loss in productivity in most developing countries. In Nigeria, 3 major cities, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja, with no less than 2,000 deaths, annually constitute the car crash capitals. The last quarter of each year is notorious in Nigeria for accidents, otherwise known simply as the Ember months. Although there are statistics reflecting a cut in deaths by 1/3 in road accidents as a result of deliberate efforts at enforcement, the situation many Nigerians agree is still worrisome. On this edition of Dateline 360, we focus on this disturbing trend, the attitude of motorists and pedestrians, and strategies towards ensuring a zero-accident nation, especially at this period. Thanks for finding time to join us. I am Hauwa Salihu Adam. You're welcome to Dateline 360. It's the Ember month, and our focus is traffic rules and regulations and compliance. Abdullahi Garba Rininkiru is our lead reporter in this edition. His background report takes us to the world of Nigerian drivers and the genesis of the rules guiding the act of motoring.